9440.
4405.
9445.
All right, we now officially deputize each and every one of you. It is time for Calhoun County's Most Wanted, the program where you get to help make Calhoun County a better and safer place by helping us lock up the bad guys. I'm Chris Wright, along with John Garlick from the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office, who is now going to inform me that no, we have not officially deputized anybody.
That's correct, Chris, because neither one of us have the authority to deputize anybody.
Okay.
But the sheriff
we do
will.
want their help.
We do need their, and you know what? Even with just mildly asking, as we do each week, we get tons of help. And every week we make arrests, and this week is no exception. We have 9, I think it's 9, let's bring it up. There it is, 9 arrests, bringing our count to 3,427 people brought to justice by the good folks of Calhoun County.
Yeah, we really do appreciate you tuning in each week and for sharing that information. It is making a difference in our community, so we thank you for that, and we hope that you are seeing some positive benefits from that. Of course, one thing we want to talk about on the show this week, it is Internet Safety Month, so we want to talk about how you can keep yourself, your information, and your children safe on the internet.
Most importantly, your children, because it's summertime, so kids are at home. Even your William is at home playing video games instead of being outside enjoying the fun and sun. But you have to be careful because they're on social media, they're on those video games where they're playing with people from all around the world, which gives those people some really strange access. So the important lesson is to monitor what your kids are doing, have curfews, have rules about how long they're online, and make sure they aren't talking to people that they don't know, and they probably are talking to people they don't know.
And the fact of the matter is, we talk about these things and everybody's aware, every parent knows that they need to be a little bit careful about what their kids are doing on the internet. But the fact of the matter is, we don't know all the things that our kids can be doing on the internet. We might be watching what they are doing, but we can't possibly know all the things that they could be doing. It's impossible for each of us as individuals to stay completely up to date on these things, but there are some tools out there to help you know what the major areas of concern are.
There are some wonderful tools at netsmarts.com. Actually, you've got the good web address on that list there.
Yeah, that's NetSmarts with a Z at the end of smarts.
Right.
netsmarts.com, or actually netsmarts.org.
There you go. Org.
So ORG, and they've got some new presentations that they've got there online that you can go and look at. And if you are a leader of a youth group or any other group that you think might need to see these presentations, you can show those presentations there. Or actually, here at the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office, the sheriff and his wife have been making an effort to get out into the community and help people with this as well.
Yep, both the sheriff and his wife stay up on all of the special tools and all the risks that are out there, and they are more than available to do the presentations for your school, church, or organization, because the goal is to keep everybody safe. And it's a dangerous world just out in the real world, and the virtual world is no exception, and oftentimes more dangerous because there's nobody to monitor what's happening. So,
All right.
yeah, be safe and have a happy summer.
Internet Safety Month this month, but something to be concerned about throughout the year, every year. And if you need somebody to come give a presentation, give the Sheriff's Office a call and we can set that up. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will have the first half of this week's lineup of bad guys on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
For emergency and non-emergency medical transportation, you can count on Anniston EMS.
Hello, I'm Johnny Warren with Anniston EMS, and we appreciate the opportunity to provide support for the Calhoun County's Most Wanted program. And I would like to remind everyone out there that if they need any medical transportation needs, please don't hesitate to call us.
Call Anniston EMS at 256-237-8572.
Big news for homebuyers searching through all those complicated mortgage options. AOD Federal Credit Union is now offering new, out-of-the-box mortgage solutions. Mortgage loan manager Jamie Bailey will help find the best rates and quickest approval for you. Conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, Jumbo, HARP, and more. Call Jamie Bailey at 256-241-8218. Out-of-the-box mortgage services. Reason number 4 that you belong with AOD Federal Credit Union. Federally insured by NCUA. All loans subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions apply. Equal housing lender.
The Ford brand has always brought you impressive style and legendary quality, and Sonny King Ford brings you the lowest price and the largest inventory, new or pre-owned. The new 2015 F-150 gets the best gas mileage of any truck without giving up its powerful towing capacity. The iconic new 2015 Mustang, with its classic pony car looks and hunkered down stance, preserves a legacy that defines American motoring. For over 93 years, Sonny King Ford, for the best cars and best price.
Hi, I'm Katina Houston with Family Links, and this is the Family Tip of the Week. So let's discuss these new age parenting techniques. One epidemic that is quickly increasing is public shaming. Public shaming has caught fire across Facebook and Instagram as parents document pictures and videos of their innovative discipline. Much of that seems to be shared in search of verbal high fives and affirmative, yeah, that's right, from fellow parents and followers. The irony is that parents are publicly punishing children's unseemly behavior on social media with unseemly behavior of their own. It's a son forced to hold a stack of books over his head until he's in pain as punishment for stealing. It's a girl wearing a shame shirt to school for bringing home bad grades. It's an old man Sherman Hemsley haircut for misbehaving boys. It's an underperforming student strolling a busy city intersection with a sign detailing his academic crimes. The it is public shaming. Agree with it or not, it's an increasingly popular way to check unruly and disrespectful kids. Still, psychologists and parenting experts frown on public shaming, some even likening it to adult bullying. Discipline is supposed to correct behavior and set boundaries so that the children can learn how to regulate themselves and make good decisions when their parents aren't around. You teach them what they're supposed to do so they can make the right decisions on their own. If you start humiliating the child, you hurt the relationship with them. Now they're angry and distrustful of you because you put them out there like that, and you've possibly done something immature in trying to teach them a lesson about how to be mature. Discipline of any kind should be less about the intent to shame and more about the desire to instruct. If your goal is to humiliate, then public shaming is 100% effective. If your goal is behavioral change, if you want to teach children to reflect on their behavior and how it affects others, then it's not. Shaming and humiliating children, or anyone for that matter, never yields positive results. Remember, ultimately, talking with children about their choices after they've messed up just as much as before is the baseline for all corrective behavior. For more information, please contact Family Links at 256-820-5911.
Welcome to this week's edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted. First up this week, James Burleson. Mr. Burleson, last known to be living in Talladega, he's wanted for failure to appear on domestic violence third, use and possession of drug paraphernalia, and possession and receipt of a controlled substance. And take a look at Rudy Mills. Mr. Mills, last known to be living in Piedmont, he's wanted for probation violation on fraudulent use of a credit card. And this is Brian Reeves. Mr. Reeves, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted on bond revocation for possession and receipt of a controlled substance, receiving stolen property second. And meet Franklin McCormick. Mr. McCormick, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for failure to appear on unlawful manufacture of a controlled substance. And this is Antoine Trout. Mr. Trout, last known to be living in Trussville, he's wanted for probation violation, Sex Offender Registration and Notification Act. We need to find this guy. And meet Marcel Carr. Carr, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for probation, revocation, possession and receipt of a controlled substance, possession of marijuana second, use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And last up for our first half, Holly Pace. Miss Pace, last known to be living in Anniston, she's wanted for probation violation, obstruction of justice using false ID, fraudulent use of a credit card, and theft of property second. And that's it for the first half of our lineup. Stay tuned for the second half later in the show.
And we will have more bad guys for you here in just a few minutes. But right now, we want to welcome Trace Fleming from Second Chance onto the show once again. And Trace, we are always glad to see you.
Thanks, guys. I'm so really thrilled to be here because it's you're right. It is hot outside, so it's nice to be inside where it's cool.
Nice and cool here.
We never get to talk about fun things while you're here because with your job at Second Chance, you deal with so many of the worst things that people deal with in our society. But we're so glad that you are there with the other people at Second Chance to help protect people and help them recover from these issues when they occur.
Thank you. That means an awful lot. And You know, it is true. We do see some of the biggest and scariest stuff out there. You know, we know that domestic violence and sexual assault and elder abuse are all huge issues, and we're just so glad that our community is so welcoming to us and lets us come out and share with them ways that we can work together as a community to be preventing these issues from happening.
And specifically right now we want to talk about elder abuse because it is Elder Abuse Month. We were just talking about Internet Safety Month. It's not just that. Obviously they have lots of things going on every month, and this month, Elder Abuse Month. So we want to talk a little bit about how the elderly are being abused first. Let's set that up. But what are some of the things that we see here in Calhoun County where our senior citizens are being abused and taken advantage of?
Well, elder abuse is really one of our most underreported crimes. Much like domestic violence and sexual assault, there's so much connected to it in regards to shame and fear and intimidation, where people don't usually like to share openly that they're being harmed, let alone sharing just in general that their primary caregiver, who might be their child or might be a nurse, might be their next door neighbor, is the person who is harming them. So elder abuse is a huge topic that we have. In our area, from what we can tell, we've had over 300 reports of elder abuse or of adults who are vulnerable and needing protection just in 2014 alone. And we know that those numbers are pretty small in comparison to what probably is happening out there. Nationally, we know that some statistics are saying that for every report of elder abuse that we actually have 27 who are going unreported. So it's a huge issue that's going to take all of us to being more open to talking about it.
And John, when you respond out to a call for an elder abuse, when you arrive, do you generally find that in a lot of those cases the person that is being accused of the abuse is someone that the abusee really depends on?
Oh yes, it can be a family member, a child, or even a grandchild, or an aunt and uncle, some close family member that they've trusted, and they've trusted them with their money, they've trusted them with their food, shelter, and clothing, and a lot of times it's not the victim that's the ones calling. It's a concerned neighbor who has called Adult Services DHR, who has called us to do a welfare check, and we go in and we see this, and it becomes obvious, and it's really a tragedy because a lot of times the victims, they don't want to prosecute, and so we kind of have to do that anyway. And
part of that, I'm sure, is because it's somebody that they have an emotional connection to. Part of it is because they feel dependent upon that person. Maybe we're doing something good for this elderly person, but in return, we are taking something from them that's not ours, or we are abusing them. And Trace, a lot of times these victims just don't realize that they feel dependent on this person, and they don't realize what services are available so that they don't have to be dependent on that person.
Exactly. And the thing is that even though we do have some services available, there are some that we're lacking, and that's another reason why it's important for our community to be coming together, to be looking at what we do need. And that's why it's so important for folks to be participating in things like our Elder Abuse Committee, which is part of our Calhoun-Cleburne Community Response Team, which meets monthly, and we can share information about that, where we can get thoughts and feelings from different organizations, law enforcement, medical staff too, to really see how we can all work together to address the needs of our elders.
Of course, elder abuse it's two words, but it's a big topic. There's a lot included in that. What are the most common types of abuse that we're seeing with our senior citizens?
Well, you're absolutely right. Elder abuse is a huge umbrella term, and it's so complicated where sometimes people aren't even 100% aware that they actually are even being abused. It does have to do with physical assault, sexual assault. It can happen with financial exploitation, self-neglect. So it's a complex issue, but ultimately its similarities to domestic violence and sexual assault alone is that it's about power and control, and it's about the caregiver needing to have power and control over another individual.
And we also see elder abuse in nursing homes and facilities like that go vastly unreported or underreported because obviously the nursing home, they may employ somebody who's abusing, usually physically or sexually, and the nursing home doesn't want to publicize that, or it takes a long time to even discover it because the victim's family's coming in and grandpa's saying, hey, this is happening to me, and they're like, yeah, but you've got Alzheimer's and it's probably not real.
Okay, well, you talk about how so many of these cases are reported from somebody outside the situation and how hard it can be to see. So we got to take a break right now. But when we come back, we want to talk about what some of those signs are and how you can be looking out for your elderly neighbors and friends and family members when we come back on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
Amazing grace.
How sweet the sound that saved
a crackhead,
drug addict, alcoholic,
meth freak,
a wretch
like me.
I once was
homeless,
broken, sad,
just lost.
But now I am
sober,
happy.
I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Every day, shattered lives are restored thanks to the goods you donate to the Salvation Army.
Your word is rigmarole.
Can you define it?
A long, complicated, and annoying process.
Can you use it in a sentence?
The last time I tried to buy a car, I just got a big load of rigmarole.
Well, you should have gone to Jacksonville Auto Sales.
Jacksonville Auto Sales across from Walmart in Jacksonville, or find us on the web at jascars.com. Remember, Jacksonville Auto Sales, home of the no rigmarole deal.
Big news for homebuyers searching through all those complicated mortgage options. AOD Federal Credit Union is now offering new, out-of-the-box mortgage solutions. Mortgage loan manager Jamie Bailey will help find the best rates and quickest approval for you. Conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, Jumbo, HARP, and more. Call Jamie Bailey at 256-241-8218. Out-of-the-box mortgage services. Reason number 4 that you belong with AOD Federal Credit Union. Federally insured by NCUA. All loans subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions apply. Equal housing lender.
And welcome to the second half of our lineup. First up this half, Tyler Morris. Mr. Morris, last known to be living in Gadsden. He's wanted for failure to appear on theft of property. Second. And meet Stacy Shaddix. Miss Shaddix, last known to be living in East Aboga. She's wanted for probation revocation on obstruction of governmental operations. And this is Jacob Proctor. Mr. Proctor, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for probation revocation on possession of marijuana. Second. And take a look at Clarence Williams Jr. Mr. Williams, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted on probation revocation for domestic violence. Third. And meet Michael Morrison. Mr. Morrison, last known to be living in Alexandria, he's wanted for failure to appear on domestic violence. Third. And take a look at Michael Brown. Mr. Brown, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for failure to pay child support, the face of a deadbeat dad. And last up in our lineup this week, Elaine Gamble. Miss Gamble, last known to be living in Jacksonville, she's wanted for failure to appear on writing bad checks. And that's it for our lineup this week. If you have any information on the whereabouts of these folks, please give Crime Stoppers a call at 256-238-1414.
All right, welcome back to Calhoun County's Most Wanted, and coming up in just a few minutes, we will talk about some unsolved crimes, some property crimes in the area that we need your help with. But right now, we are talking with Trace Fleming from Second Chance. We were talking about Elder Abuse Month. And Trace, before the break, we were talking about some different types of elder abuse and how so many times the abuse is reported not from anybody within the situation, not even the victim, but somebody outside that witnesses something that they think needs to be looked at. What are those things that we should be looking for around us?
Oh, that's such a great question. And there are a lot of different red flags or warning signs that someone might be harmed. If an elder that a person knows may be maybe dressed really poorly all the time, may seem physically unkempt, physically dirty all the time, but everyone else in their household seems to be completely taken care of and maybe even overly taken care of, where they're just really well groomed, or maybe they have the latest fashion or the very hot new car, something like that. But whereas the elder is just really seeming to suffer more and more, that would be an absolute warning sign. If I would say too, if a medical person was going into a home, like a hospice caregiver or even just home health, something like that, when they were going in and they were noticing that there seems to be not a lot of food in the house, that medications are missing, that maybe there doesn't seem to be a lot of information being given to the actual person who's receiving the care by their children or caregivers, that would be also red flags for me that would say that something might be going on that needs to be looked at a little bit more in depth.
If we've seen some of these red flags, is 911 the right place to start, or would you call Crime Stoppers or call the sheriff's office or the local police department? What's the best place to initiate that investigation?
All those are good. 911 certainly is there for emergencies, but it's also a good link. But you can call the sheriff's office directly or your local law enforcement directly. You can ask for a welfare check so law enforcement can go out and knock on the door and see what's going on. Or you can call Department of Human Resources, DHR, and file an anonymous report. You know, say, look, this is what I see that's going on, and DHR will investigate it just like they do children cases.
And you can be anonymous, so if somebody says, I don't really know what I think I might know, and I don't want to get involved, but I definitely don't want this situation to continue going on, you can share your information without being drug into the middle of everything.
That's correct.
Yeah. All right. So.
And I was just thinking that our Adult Protective Services folks with Calhoun County DHR, they want you to call, and they want to do that intake, because that's their whole job, is to make sure that individuals are safe.
And they're very good about working with us, and you know, we go out and we investigate these things, and we can find probable cause, we can get financial reports, and we can look at the physical condition. And it's scary, and it's sad. You know, we were talking at the break how you know, oftentimes parents can be enablers for their children, and they enable them all the way through childhood into adulthood, and now you've got this child who's maybe got a drug issue, but they're living with mom, have lived with mom, and now mom's elderly and needs help, and they're there to take care of stuff, but unfortunately they may be taking advantage, and mom feels guilty. She doesn't want to get him in trouble, and it really is tragic. It's tragic what we've been seeing.
This whole subject is very touchy, but this may take it to another level of touchy. All right, caregivers. They're really doing some great things taking care of somebody that needs help. They're under a lot of stress. Sometimes that stress becomes an excuse for abuse.
It really can be. And I'll be the first to say that caregivers are incredible individuals, but if a person is feeling stressed to the point, and caregiving can be extremely stressful, but the stress is never an excuse for violence. It's never an excuse for harming the elder that they're there to protect. We really recommend, if someone is feeling so much stress that they are starting to have resentments and they're starting to push into a dynamic where there's a power and control issues, that they really need to be responsible for their own actions and get help as fast as possible, and contacting someone at the sheriff's office or contacting mental health or one of the numerous caregiving support systems out there online, getting that help that they need as soon as possible to really protect the elder that they're with.
We may say, well, I'm doing the very best I can, and that may be true, but there may be better that can be done if you're not doing it by yourself.
Exactly, exactly.
So again, if people have any questions about how to best protect their loved ones or anyone that they know, what's the best place to contact?
Well, there's a variety of different places to contact, but if they have questions about elder abuse or would like to have us come out and discuss any of these issues, they're more than welcome to call us at Second Chance. Our elder and our crisis line that we're using is 256-236-7233. And if they'd like to speak to me directly, they're more than happy to call at our office at the administration building, which is 256-236-7381.
Thank you very much, Trace. And of course, if it's an absolute emergency, 911 is always the number. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will have the Crime Stoppers segment of the show and our crazy criminal of the week on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
For emergency and non-emergency medical transportation, you can count on Anniston EMS.
Hello, I'm Johnny Warren with Anniston EMS, and we appreciate the opportunity to provide support for the Calhoun County's Most Wanted program. And I would like to remind everyone out there that if they need any medical transportation needs, please don't hesitate to call us.
Call Anniston EMS at 256-237-8572.
Your word is rigmarole.
Can you define it?
A long, complicated, and annoying process.
Can you use it in a sentence?
The last time I tried to buy a car, I just got a big load of rigmarole.
Well, you should have gone to Jacksonville Auto Sales.
Jacksonville Auto Sales across from Walmart in Jacksonville, or find us on the web at jascars.com. Remember, Jacksonville Auto Sales, home of the no rigmarole deal.
Amazing Grace.
How sweet the sound that saved
A crackhead.
Drug addict, alcoholic, meth freak,
A wretch.
like me.
I once was.
Homeless.
Broken. Sad.
Just lost.
but now I am
Sober.
Happy.
I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Every day, shattered lives are restored thanks to the goods you donate to the Salvation Army.
And welcome to this week's version of Crime Stoppers, where we ask you to put on your deer stalkers and help our investigators with these cases. First up this week, between June 7th and June 8th, this storage shed located on Sun Valley Road in Anniston was broken into. A pressure washer, chainsaw, tool set, and backpack leaf blowers were stolen from that location. And sometime on June 12th, the chainsaw was stolen from a storage shed located on New Liberty Road in Wellington. And sometime on June 13th, well, really at approximately 1 a.m., a suspect or suspects shot into an occupied residence on Church Street in Hobson City. Thankfully, no one was injured. And last up on our caseload this week, on June 10th, this residence on Alexandria Wellington Road in Alexandria was broken into. They got away with numerous firearms, jewelry, and electronics. And that is your caseload this week. If you have any information on these cases, and we hope that you do, please give Crime Stoppers a call at 256-238-1414. Remember, we want your information and not your name.
Stupid!
I don't know if you've ever encountered this, John. Sometimes criminals don't give their real name to the law enforcement officers.
You don't
does occur.
Wow. I'm so surprised.
You're a bad guy and you give a false name to a police officer. It might be a good idea to figure out what that name's at a time and make sure it's not somebody who is wanted.
Yeah, do a little due diligence before you start name.
Yeah, 23-year-old was stopped by police, gave them a false name. Turned out to be the name of another individual who was wanted on a bail violation. So off he goes to jail. Once they're able to figure out who he is and who he's. And even though he's not facing the charges for that other individual, he's got his own charges now.
Yes, giving a false name to law enforcement is a charge that will get listed. So, yeah. Oh, boy.
Get the other guy out of it, though. They're still
looking for him. That's quick name. My buddy, yeah. Oh,
Usually your buddy, if your guy's getting stopped by police, these aren't the names you want to use. Somebody else's buddy might be a better idea.
People mess up all the time. Why just go, you did it, and let's get it taken care of, and I won't do it again? Why is everything so?
That's just crazy, John.
That's just
Actually
crazy.
Face up to your own responsibilities.
Gee.
Come on now.
Gee.
All right. Well, we do appreciate all of our law citizens that show every and share information with us. If you missed the first part of the show, you can go to the book page and you can see this week's lineup and our Crime Stoppers segment as well there. Thank you for that. Thank you for tuning in each week. We'll be looking for you each week, but not in the lineup on Calhoun Wanted.